The stars burned cold and silent across the black sea of space. A giant alien fleet floated near a dying planet. Its surface cracked like glass glowing with red fire. Among the ruins, a small human escape pod drifted slowly, turning without control. The alien radar picked it up. Inside the command ship, alien officers spoke in their strange language, sharp and echoing like metal striking metal. Unidentified pod. Human origin, said one. Should we destroy it, my Empress? From her throne, the Alien Empress sat in silence. Her armor shimmered with light like liquid silver. Her eyes glowed bright blue, calm but cold. She ruled thousands of worlds, and her voice alone could start or stop a war. Show me the human, she said softly. The soldiers dragged the pod into the ship's bay. The door hissed open, revealing a broken man inside, Captain Ethan Cole. His face was cut, his uniform torn, his hands burned. He barely breathed. One of the alien guards raised his plasma rifle. He's dying. Let me finish him, but the Empress stood. No, she ordered. Her voice was smooth, yet powerful enough to silence every soldier. Bring him to the medical chamber, now. The guards hesitated. No alien dared question her, but they looked at one another in confusion. Why would the most powerful ruler in the galaxy care for one weak, half-dead human? When Ethan opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a bed made of glowing crystal. Strange blue lights moved around his body, healing his wounds. He gasped, trying to sit up, but his arms were held by metal restraints. Where am I? He whispered. A deep voice replied from the shadows. You are safe. For now. He turned his head and froze. The Empress stood before him, tall and otherworldly. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight. Her armor covered in small moving symbols. Her eyes locked on him, studying every detail of his face. Ethan swallowed hard. You're not human. No, she said. And yet, you are not a stranger to me. Her words sent a chill through his body. What do you mean? Who are you? I am the ruler of the Vorex Dominion, she replied. And you, human? You belong to me. Ethan's heart pounded. What are you talking about? I don't even know you. The Empress stepped closer. You will remember soon. Your mind hides the truth. She turned to the guards. Release him. He will not harm me, the guards looked shocked. But my Empress, he is dangerous. Her voice grew sharp. Did you not hear me? The guards obeyed at once. The restraints opened. Ethan rubbed his wrists, staring in disbelief. You saved me, he said quietly. Why? The Empress walked to the large window. Outside, the stars glowed like ice. She looked into the void and whispered, Because once, long ago. You saved me, Ethan frowned. That's impossible. I've never seen you before. She turned back to him with eyes full of strange sadness. Memory can be stolen, but destiny cannot. The door opened suddenly. A commander entered, bowing deeply. My Empress, the Council demands an answer. They say it is forbidden to keep a human alive aboard the royal ship. The Empress didn't look away from Ethan. Tell the Council, she said coldly, that this human is under my protection. Any who disobey will face me directly. The commander's voice trembled. Yes, my Empress. He left quickly and the door sealed shut. Ethan stood slowly, his legs shaking. You're risking your position. Your life, for me? I do not risk, she said quietly. I choose. He didn't know what to say. The air between them felt heavy, charged with something he couldn't name. Fear, mystery, maybe something deeper. Who am I to you? Ethan asked. She stepped close until their faces were only inches apart. Her blue eyes glowed brighter. You don't remember me, she whispered. But I remember you. You were the one who showed me mercy when I had none. You changed everything. Her voice trembled for the first time. Then she turned away. Rest now, human. Soon you will see why I cannot let you die. Ethan watched her leave, the door closing behind her with a hiss. He looked out through the crystal window into the endless stars. His reflection looked back, half man, half prisoner of an alien queen. In the distance, the fleet moved into formation, hundreds of warships ready for battle. Every soldier whispered the same question across the communication lines. Why did the Empress say that human belongs to her? The stars offered no answer. The royal ship moved through the silent darkness of space, its silver wings glowing like a living creature. Inside, whispers spread through every hall. The soldiers of the Vorex Dominion could not stop talking about the same mystery, a human kept alive by the Empress herself. Ethan Cole sat alone in a shining glass room. The air felt heavy, sweet, and strange. Alien light moved through the walls, changing color with his heartbeat. He tried to remember how he got here and the crash, the fire, the rescue, but everything after that was fog. The door opened without a sound. The Empress entered, wearing a dark robe made of stars. Her presence filled the room like quiet thunder. 2 guards bowed behind her, afraid even to breathe too loudly. "Leave us," she ordered. The guards vanished. The door sealed. Only she and Ethan remained. Ethan stood slowly. "You still haven't told me why I'm here." The Empress walked around him in a slow circle, her eyes studying him like a puzzle. "You truly do not remember me?" she asked. He frowned. "Should I?" She stopped behind him. "Once on your planet I walked among your kind. I came to study humans, and I met a soldier who risked his life for a stranger." "That soldier was you," Ethan blinked. "That can't be true." "I'd remember meeting someone like you." She moved closer. Her voice softened, almost human. "You saved me when I was dying on a world torn by war. I was hiding in human form. You carried me through fire and storm. I never forgot." He turned to face her, searching her glowing eyes. "You expect me to believe that?" The Empress smiled faintly. "Belief is not required. Truth exists with or without your memory." For a moment neither spoke. Only the low hum of the ship filled the air. Then a sudden alarm broke the silence. A red light flashed above the door. A voice shouted through the speaker. "Emergency in the royal sector. Intruder detected." The Empress spun toward the door, her hand glowing with blue energy. "Stay behind me." The door exploded open. Smoke filled the room, and a shadowy figure leaped out with a blade made of light. Ethan ducked as the weapon sliced through the air, missing his head by inches. The Empress raised her arm and fired a beam of silver power that threw the assassin across the room. He crashed into the wall, hissing in pain. The guards rushed back inside, weapons ready. "Capture him alive," she ordered. The assassin spat blood and laughed. "You protect a human, my Empress? You bring shame to our kind." Before the guards could move, he bit into a glowing capsule and dissolved into ash. Silence fell again. Ethan stared, breathing fast. "Who was that?" "Someone who believes I have forgotten what it means to rule," she said coldly. "Someone who will not be the last." Ethan looked at her, fear and confusion mixing in his eyes. "They want to kill me. Because of you?" "No," she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time. "They want to kill you because you are the only one who can change me." Later that night, the Empress stood alone on the observation deck, staring into the endless sea of stars. Her reflection floated in the glass, a queen feared by all, but haunted by one human memory. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "He still does not remember." A small creature, half machine, half living, hovered near her shoulder. "My Empress, should I erase his memory completely? It will keep him safe." She shook her head slowly. "No, his memory is the key. If it returns, the universe itself may tremble." Far below, Ethan lay awake in his chamber. He looked at his hand, at a faint blue mark glowing beneath his skin, something he hadn't noticed before. It pulsed gently in rhythm with his heartbeat. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. Through the walls he could hear faint echoes of alien voices chanting the name of their ruler. But hidden among those voices he thought he heard another, soft, human, familiar, a woman's voice. "Find me again, Ethan." He sat up, eyes wide. The mark on his hand burned brighter. Outside, the royal fleet drifted through the stars, but danger moved closer with every passing second. In the shadows of the galaxy, enemies were watching, waiting for the perfect time to strike. And at the center of it all stood a human who didn't remember his past, and an alien empress who could no longer escape it. The stars outside the royal ship glowed like quiet fireflies, scattered across the endless dark. Days had passed since the attack, yet the tension inside the ship grew thicker every hour. Guards spoke in whispers, afraid to say the Empress's name too loudly, and in the center of it all, a human, lost among aliens. Ethan Cole walked slowly through the long silver halls. The walls shone with soft blue light, and strange alien symbols moved like liquid across them. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him. Soldiers stared in silence. Servants stopped working and bowed nervously as he passed. He was no prisoner now, but neither was he free. At the end of the hall, the door opened. The Empress stood waiting for him on a high balcony made of glass and starlight. Behind her, the whole galaxy seemed to breathe. "You're walking again," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "Your healers are good." "I told them to be careful," she replied. "You break too easily," he almost smiled. "Humans are fragile. You should know that by now." The Empress turned to face the stars. "I know more than you think." For a moment, silence filled the air, peaceful but heavy. Ethan stepped closer, looking down at the glowing city below the ship's dome. Alien lights moved like rivers of color. He had never seen anything so beautiful and yet so cold. "Why do you keep me here?" he finally asked. "You said I saved you once. But if I don't remember it, what's the point?" The Empress didn't answer right away. She raised her hand and the air shimmered. A small hologram appeared. A battlefield, smoke and fire everywhere. Ethan saw a younger version of himself, running through the flames, carrying someone in his arms. A woman. A wounded woman with dark eyes. "That's me," he whispered. She nodded slowly. "That day I was hiding on your world in human form. You didn't know what I was. You saved me anyway. No one else would have." Ethan watched the image fade. His chest tightened. "If that's true, why didn't you tell me before?" "Because the truth can be dangerous," she said. "There are many who would kill you just for what you did, and for what you might still do." "What I might do?" The Empress turned toward him, her eyes glowing faintly. "The mark on your hand, it connects you to me. When you touched me that day, part of my power entered you. You carry a bond no human ever has." Ethan looked at his hand. The blue mark pulsed softly again in rhythm with her voice. "I don't want your power," he said quietly. "I know," she replied. "That's why you are the only one who deserves it." Before he could respond, the door burst open. A royal guard entered, kneeling quickly. "My Empress!" "Urgent message. The Council demands your presence. They question your loyalty to the Dominion." The Empress's face turned cold again. "Tell them I will come when I choose." The guard hesitated. They also ask about the human." Her voice dropped like ice. "Tell them nothing." The guard bowed and left, shaking with fear. Ethan watched her carefully. "They hate me, don't they?" "They fear you," she corrected. "Fear is stronger than hate. Then I should go," he said. "The longer I stay, the more danger you're in." The Empress turned sharply. "No, you leave, you die. They will hunt you across every star. And She stopped, looking away. "I would not survive it," Ethan frowned. "Why would my death matter to you?" She stepped close, her voice barely a whisper. "Because the bond is deeper than you understand. If your life ends, so does mine." He froze. "You mean we're connected? Like one heart split into two," she said softly. "What you feel, I feel. What you lose, I lose. This is the cost of what happened between us." Ethan's mind raced. "Then I'm not your prisoner," he said slowly. "I'm your weakness." The Empress's expression flickered, half pride, half sadness. Perhaps both. The lights dimmed around them. Outside, the fleet began to move again. Hundreds of alien ships shifting into new formation. War drums echoed faintly through the walls. "The Council prepares for rebellion," she whispered. "They think I've gone mad because of you." Ethan stared out at the stars. "Then maybe they're right," he said quietly. "Because saving me might cost you everything." The Empress's eyes met his. For the first time, her voice trembled. "I already lost everything once, Ethan. I will not lose you again." As the royal ship vanished into the darkness of space, Ethan finally understood. He was no longer just a man trapped among aliens. He was part of something far greater. And far more dangerous. All across the Empire, flames of rebellion spread like wildfire. Cities under the Vorex flag were rising against their queen. Fleets once loyal to the Empress now turned their weapons toward her throne. The airwaves of space carried one message again and again. The Empress has fallen for a human. She is no longer fit to rule. Inside the royal ship Eterna, tension filled every corridor. The hum of engines mixed with whispers of fear. Soldiers trained with cold focus, ready for a war none truly understood. Ethan Cole stood at the large viewing deck, staring at the galaxy below. Dozens of alien ships drifted in the distance, forming a blockade around the capital planet. He could feel the storm coming. Behind him, the door opened. The Empress entered, her robe glowing faintly with silver light. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed the weight of countless worlds. "They've united," she said quietly. "The Council, the outer colonies, even my generals. They plan to overthrow me." Ethan turned to her. "Because of me?" "Because of what you mean," she replied. "They see you as corruption." A weakness that must be erased. Ethan clenched his fists. Then let me go. If they want me, I'll leave. They'll stop. Her eyes flared bright blue. You still don't understand. If you die. So do I, he looked away. Then you're trapped, just like me. She stepped closer, her voice softer now. I am not trapped. I am bound, by choice. The ship shook suddenly. Red alarms flashed through the room. A voice shouted through the comms. Enemy fleet approaching. Over 100 ships armed and ready. The Empress raised her hand, summoning her commanders. Form defense lines around the capital. Protect the civilian colonies. Ethan watched as alien holograms filled the air, ships moving like glowing insects, fleets colliding in deep space. The Empress's orders were calm, sharp, perfect. But beneath that control, he could feel her fear. He turned to her. You're going to fight them all alone? Her expression hardened. A ruler stands alone or not at all. Ethan shook his head. No, not this time. Before she could stop him, he moved to the control panel. Teach me how to help. I was a soldier once. Maybe not your kind of soldier, but I know war. For a moment, the Empress only stared at him, a human standing in her war room, daring to fight for her. Then slowly she nodded. Very well, Captain Cole, she said. Let us see if your courage still burns. Hours passed. The battle outside raged like thunder. The Eterna trembled as explosions echoed through space. The Empress stood in the command center, eyes glowing as she guided the fleet through telepathic command. Ships moved like extensions of her will. Ethan sat beside her at the tactical station, relaying coordinates and strategy. His human instincts surprised even her generals. Your moves are reckless, she said between orders. They're human, he replied with a grin. We're good at surviving impossible odds. A smile almost touched her lips. Almost. Then, without warning, the entire ship jolted violently. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The lights flickered out. Power breach, shouted a guard. Enemy boarding craft inbound. The Empress drew her blade of light, pure energy in the shape of a sword. Stay behind me. But Ethan stepped forward instead. Not this time. He grabbed a plasma rifle from a fallen soldier and took position by the door. His hands trembled slightly, but his eyes were steady. The door exploded open, and rebels poured in, armored and furious. Blaster fire filled the air. Ethan fired back, ducking behind cover. The Empress moved like lightning, her blade cutting through the invaders, leaving trails of blue fire. But for every enemy that fell, 2 more entered. Fall back, Ethan shouted. She ignored him. I will not run from my own people. A blast hit the wall beside her, throwing her off balance. Ethan rushed forward, pulling her behind a pillar just as another explosion shook the room. Listen to me, he yelled. You can't save them if you're dead. Her gaze locked with his, the fury, pride, and something softer hiding beneath. I am their Empress, she said. If I fall, the galaxy burns. Then let it burn, Ethan said quietly. But not with you inside it. For a long moment, neither moved. The chaos outside the door faded to distant echoes. Then slowly the Empress lowered her weapon. You would defy a queen to protect her? She asked. He nodded. No. I'd protect the person who once risked everything for me. Something inside her shifted. The warrior, the ruler, the godlike being. For a heartbeat, all of it fell away. Ethan, she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time. If they destroy me, you must survive. Promise me that. He shook his head. No deals. We survive together. Outside, the rebel ships gathered for one final strike. The Empress looked toward the stars, her empire collapsing, her destiny bleeding, and whispered words only Ethan could hear. Even if the universe burns, you are mine. The royal ship Eterna drifted in the cold silence of space, wounded from battle. Flames still burned across its lower decks. Hundreds of soldiers had died protecting their queen. The rebellion had not won, but neither had the Empress. The stars outside looked peaceful, but inside the ship, a new war was about to begin. Ethan Cole walked through the silent corridor, his boots echoing on the metal floor. The air smelled of smoke and blood. He passed broken walls and shattered lights. Every face he saw was tired, afraid, and watching him, the human who had somehow survived the impossible. He reached the command hall. The Empress stood there, her silver armor cracked, her eyes dim. She looked like a goddess who had been wounded by her own creation. They're retreating, Ethan said quietly. But they'll be back. She nodded, staring at the holographic map before her. Yes, the rebellion grows stronger with every lie they tell. Ethan stepped closer. Then let's end it. Tell them the truth. Tell them why I'm here. Maybe they'll understand. Her eyes turned to him, cold but sad. The truth would only destroy us faster. You don't understand my people, Ethan. They fear what they cannot control. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Then we run. We find somewhere far away. Let them fight their war without us. She almost smiled. You think the galaxy would let its queen disappear? He met her gaze. Then maybe it's time it did. For a moment, something soft flickered in her eyes. Hope, maybe even love. But before she could speak, the door opened sharply. General Kale entered, tall, armored, his face hidden beneath a steel mask. He bowed deeply. My Empress, I bring news. The outer colonies offer peace. If you surrender the human. The room fell silent. Ethan froze. The Empress's voice turned sharp as a blade. Peace bought with betrayal is no peace at all. Kale lowered his head. Forgive me, my Empress, but the Dominion bleeds. Millions suffer because of this. Attachment. Ethan felt the weight of every alien eye on him. He stepped forward. He's right. If giving me up will save them, then do it. The Empress turned to him, her voice fierce. Never. You are under my protection. No one touches you. Kale's hand moved to his weapon. Then you leave me no choice. Before Ethan could react, Kale drew his blade, faster than light. He slashed across the air, aiming for Ethan's chest, but the Empress was quicker. Her hand glowed blue, stopping the blade mid-swing. The air cracked with energy. Her eyes burned with fury. Kyle, she said quietly, I raised you from nothing. I trusted you. Kale's mask reflected her glowing face. And I still serve you, my Empress, by ending the weakness that will destroy us all. He pressed a hidden control on his wrist. The lights went red. Alarms screamed across the ship. Ethan looked around. What did he do? Kyle smiled coldly. I've given your location to the rebels. They're already here. Before anyone could stop him, he threw a plasma grenade at their feet. The explosion tore through the hall. The world went white. When Ethan opened his eyes, smoke filled the room. He coughed, pushing himself up. The walls were burning. The Empress lay beside him, her armor cracked, her face pale. Empress, he shouted, pulling her to her feet. We have to go. She shook her head weakly. Kyle took the codes. The fleet, they will destroy us both. Ethan grabbed her hand. Then we'll take them back. Together they ran through the collapsing corridors. Rebel soldiers had already boarded. Blaster fire echoed. Ethan fought with a fallen guard's weapon, covering her as they moved. Every step was chaos. Every turn could be death. At the hangar, they reached a small shuttle. The Empress stopped suddenly, breathing hard. Go, she said. I'll hold them off, he turned, shocked. No, not again. I'm not leaving you. Her eyes softened. You are the only one who can stop Kale now. If he reaches the throne world, he'll use my power. Through you. Through me? Ethan shouted. What does that mean? Her voice trembled. The bond we share. The mark on your hand, it connects to the royal core. He'll use it to control the entire Dominion. Ethan stared at her, realization flooding his mind. Then I'm the weapon he wants. Yes, she whispered. And the shield I need. She touched his face gently. Go, Ethan, find him. End this. Before he could speak, soldiers appeared at the far door. The Empress turned, raising her glowing sword. Go, she commanded. Ethan's heart pounded. He stepped into the shuttle. The doors closed, and through the window, he saw her fighting, one against many, her silver light cutting through the darkness like a dying star. As the shuttle launched into the void, Ethan whispered to himself, I'll come back for you. I swear it. Behind him, the Eterna exploded into a sea of blue fire, vanishing into the cold night of space, and somewhere in the darkness, General Kale's voice echoed through the rebel fleet. The human is ours. The Empress will fall. The stars seemed darker now. Ethan Cole's small shuttle floated through the endless void, its engines barely alive. The once glorious Eterna was gone, destroyed in fire and betrayal. Behind him, the Empress's last words echoed in his mind. Find him. End this. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, standing in the flames, blade glowing, fighting to the last breath. He didn't know if she had survived.
He didn't know if she was still out there.
But he knew one thing. He would not stop until he found her. He finally reached the capital planet Vorexia Prime, the heart of the Alien Empire. Its surface was a world of light and storm, surrounded by floating citadels and warships. And in the center stood the royal spire, the core tower, where the Empress once ruled. Now, it was under new control. From the shadows, Ethan watched rebel banners flutter across the tower's massive gates. He had no army, no weapon strong enough to face them, only his will, and the strange blue mark glowing faintly on his hand. He touched it, feeling warmth pulse through his veins. He didn't understand it, but somehow that mark, that connection to her, they gave him strength. "I hope you can hear me," he whispered into the dark. "Because I'm coming for you." Inside the spire, General Kyle sat upon the throne. His armor gleamed black under the cold light. Around him, alien lords bowed in silence. "The human runs," one whispered. Kale smiled behind his steel mask. "Let him come. The moment he enters the core, the bond will awaken. And through him, I will rule what she could not." He raised his hand toward the glowing heart of the tower, the royal core, a sphere of pure living energy. Blue light rippled within it, humming softly, almost like a heartbeat. "Soon," he said, "her power will be mine." But deep within the core's energy, something stirred. A voice, soft but strong. "You forget, Kale. The bond works both ways." The room trembled. The guards looked around in fear. Kale turned sharply toward the sound. "No," he growled. "Impossible." The energy inside the core flared bright, and for a split second the shadow of a figure appeared within it. A woman. The Empress. At that same moment, Ethan felt a sudden pain shoot through his hand. The blue mark glowed brighter, pulsing faster, matching the rhythm of the core. He fell to his knees, gasping. Images flashed in his mind, her eyes, her voice, her pain. He could feel her, alive, trapped inside the core itself. "She's alive," he whispered. "He's using her power." He stood, his body shaking, and began moving toward the tower. The climb through the capital was chaos. Rebels patrolled the streets, searching for survivors. Ethan moved like a ghost, using his human instincts and sheer desperation to stay hidden. When he finally reached the tower's base, he looked up. The structure pierced the clouds, lightning dancing around its sides. "This is it," he said under his breath. He entered through a maintenance gate. The halls were silent except for the faint hum of power running through the walls. Blue energy flowed through every surface, the living pulse of the Empress's life force. As he climbed higher, the mark on his hand began to burn. His heart pounded faster. He could hear her voice in his mind now, in a faint, broken but real. "Ethan." "Stop him, please!" He ran. At the top of the spire, Kale stood before the core, his hands glowing as he tried to merge with its energy. Lightning arced across the room. The moment Ethan stepped inside, Kale turned. "So the human finally arrives," Kale said. "Do you know what you are? A key. A mistake she made out of weakness. And now her power will be mine." Ethan raised his weapon. "Not while I'm still breathing." Kyle laughed, drawing his black blade. "Then you'll die screaming, human." The fight began. Sparks flew as plasma met steel. Kale was stronger, faster, but Ethan fought with heart. Every swing powered by memory, pain, and something deeper. Kale slashed him across the arm, knocking him down. "You can't win," he shouted. "You're only human." Ethan looked up, blood on his face, and whispered, "Exactly, and that's why you'll lose." He pressed his glowing hand against the floor. The mark flared. The same blue energy that filled the core burst outward. Kale screamed as the light wrapped around him, burning his armor, consuming him whole. The core exploded with energy. And in that blinding light, Ethan saw her. The Empress stepped forward, radiant and free, her power returned. Her eyes met his, filled with sorrow and love. "You came for me," she whispered. "Always," he replied, falling weakly into her arms. She held him close as the tower shook around them. "You gave me humanity, Ethan, and I will give you eternity." Blue light surrounded them both, merging into one heartbeat. Outside, the sky cleared. The rebel ships froze. The storm ended. In the silence that followed, the galaxy felt something it hadn't in a long time. Peace. But deep inside the tower, two lights still glowed. One bright and royal, one warm and human, bound together forever. The war was over. The flames that once devoured the stars had gone dark. The great rebellion that tore the Vorix dominion apart had ended in silence. Across the galaxy, every race, alien and human alike, spoke the same name in whispers, almost afraid of it: Ethan Cole, the human who tamed a queen. For months after the final battle, the Empire rebuilt itself. The broken ships drifted into shipyards, the wounded healed, and the dead were honored in temples of light. Yet no one had seen the Empress since the day the core tower exploded in a wave of blue fire. Some said she died with her human. Others said she became one with the stars. But every night when the twin moons rose above the capital, a single blue light glowed from the top of the royal spire, as if her heart still beat inside the sky. On a small planet at the edge of the galaxy, far from the reach of kings and fleets, a single man walked through the quiet forest. His hair was longer now, streaked with silver. His steps were slow but strong. Ethan Cole had survived, he didn't know how. When he woke after the explosion, he was lying among the ruins of the tower, the stars shining above him. His body was whole, but the mark on his hand was gone. Only a faint warmth remained in his chest, the last trace of her. He built a life among the stars, far from war. But sometimes when he looked up at the night sky, he could feel her, like a soft voice calling across light years. "You still watch me, don't you?" he whispered to the wind. One evening, as he sat by the glowing lake near his home, the water began to shimmer. The surface rippled, though there was no wind. A beam of soft blue light descended from the heavens, touching the lake's center. Ethan stood quickly, his heart racing. The light grew brighter, shaping itself, until a figure stepped out. She was exactly as he remembered. Silver armor glowing faintly, eyes shining with galaxies. The Empress. He took a slow breath, afraid to blink. "This can't be real," she smiled softly, the same smile that once ruled worlds. "Reality bends for those who share a soul." Ethan laughed quietly, half in disbelief, half in awe. "You're alive." "I was never gone," she said. "When you freed me from the core, part of me stayed with you. I've watched you through every sunrise, every lonely night." He stepped closer. "I thought I lost you." She shook her head gently. "You can't lose what you carry inside." They stood there in silence, the alien queen and the human soldier. Two beings from different worlds, bound by something beyond time or form. After a while, she looked toward the sky. "The Dominion is changing. My people rebuild not as conquerors, but as guardians. Your courage changed them, Ethan. They tell stories of the human who defied armies for a queen. Children learn your name before they learn the stars." He smiled faintly. "A legend, huh? I was just trying to save someone." "And that," she said, "is what makes you a legend." She reached out her hand. "Come with me. The galaxy needs both of us, the ruler and the rebel, the heart and the flame." Ethan looked at her hand, glowing softly with starlight. "If I go with you, what happens to this life?" "You become what you were always meant to be," she said. "Something more than human, yet never less." He hesitated for a heartbeat, then took her hand. The moment their fingers touched, the lake around them turned to light. The stars above brightened as if bowing in reverence. His body felt weightless, his heart racing with warmth and peace. "Where are we going?" he asked, smiling through the glow. She smiled back, her voice like a melody of stars. "Home, to where humans and gods finally meet." When the light faded, the lake was still again. Only 2 footprints remained at the edge of the water, slowly vanishing beneath the moonlight. And above the world, in the deep night sky, a new constellation appeared. 2 lights intertwined, shining brighter than any other. The people of Vorexia called it the bond of eternity. And for generations to come, every child who looked up at those twin stars would hear the same story whispered by their elders. Once, long ago, a human looked into the eyes of a goddess, and she declared before the entire fleet, "That human belongs to me."